First of all, I want to welcome all of you students, and I'm sure that we have some parents here as well to get caught up on all the exciting news coming out of Italy. So we're happy to have you all here. And first of all, my name is Annie Gibson. I am the director of the Office of Study Abroad, and I will also be accompanying you all, accompanying the group on the program to Italy. And I am really excited about this program. For you all that are going to be traveling to Italy this summer, first of all, I'd like to just let you know that you are a few of the only students that will be studying abroad this summer. It is a real honor, I think, for you that you guys were willing to kind of deal with the uncertainties and the flexibility that is needed to kind of try to plan travel during this pandemic. So what I want to do today is really focus on the travel component, and then some expectations on what you can expect on site in Italy currently, and answer any questions that you might have related to those sort of expectations of what things look like on the ground. As you know, we have a second PDO, pre-departure orientation, and there you'll really hear more from your faculty about the amazing courses that you're going to be taking. But today I just want to make sure that we go through logistics. So I'm going to talk for a bit, but then most of the time we'll have open for questions and answers so that you can let me know what's on your mind. So going back to the email that you received from me. So you have some documents to submit through the CIEE portal. CIEE is the study abroad organization that is helping us manage a lot of our on-site logistics and the sort of safety measures that we need to have in place in order to operate during this moment. They're great partners. It's going to give us a lot of contact with students on the ground, with different cultural agencies that we can sort of work with. So those documents, if you have not yet submitted those, go into your portal to do so. Next, I want to talk a little bit about travel. So traveling during the pandemic is going to be different. So just to get a sense, for those of you in that are here with us, if you could type into the chat where you will be departing from, so I can get a sense of your departing city. Will you be departing from New Orleans, Atlanta? Where will you all be departing from? Thank you. And then the other thing that I'd like you to put in the chat is tell me a little bit about your international travel experience. You can say, I'm a first-time international traveler. You can say, I have a little travel experience with my family. You can say, I'm a really experienced international traveler, just to get a sense. Okay. Great. So I'm getting I'm seeing your answers come, and it's really fun. We have both people that have had a little experience abroad before, and some of you doing this for the first time. And so that is really great. And traveling during COVID time really is going to put us all on the same playing field, because there are going to be new rules and regulations for those of you that may have traveled before that you're not going to be, that will be new for you. So we're going to talk a little bit about those first. So in the email I sent to you, you saw that you'll be booking your travel through World Travel Services. And the reason why we want to do this is that we want to be sure that you have the proper amount of support should there be any changes necessary. So as you all have seen, sort of monitoring COVID right now, things can change at any time. Or perhaps, you know, you arrive at the airport thinking that you took the PCR test you were supposed to take, but you actually took the antigen test instead, and you couldn't board the flight. So you have a travel agent that can help rebook you really fast. If you didn't understand what I said just now, I'm going to explain what those different tests are, so don't worry. But having travel agencies helps us have you guys all together and know how to sort of manage the travel. And if we do, for whatever reason, if we have to get someone or the whole group out. If there are travel restrictions that go into play, we can do that using one travel agency. So you guys are going to be asked for those of you leaving from the U.S. I see that we do have one student who will be coming from China, but for those of you leaving from the U.S., you are going to be asked to book on what are these quarantine-free flights. And so I sent you the link to the two kind of departing airports. And given where most of you all are coming, some of you that are departing from the South, you're likely going to go through Atlanta. And those of you coming from the Boston, Cleveland area, you guys are likely going to go through New York. And so these flights, and the World Travel Services have been briefed on this, and so they know which flights that are quarantine free. When you contact them and put what the Summer in Italy program, they have all this information available. So what these quarantine free flights do is make it possible so that when we arrive, you don't have the government imposed quarantine on you. Currently in Italy, when any passengers arriving in Italy from international travel have a 14-day mandatory quarantine. However, if you are on these quarantine flights, you do not have this government imposed quarantine. But what does this mean? For these flights, you will get a PCR COVID test, which has to be taken 72 hours prior to departure. So there are different types of testing. What you guys have been doing at Tulane is a PCR test. There are also these rapid antibody tests. This does not qualify. You have to get one of these CDC. They're called a PCR test, and it is taking you. It must be in that window of 72 hours prior to your departure from Atlanta or New York, where you're departing from. So if you go to the link that I sent you, and you put in your zip code from where you're departing, it will show you some places where you can get that PCR test. And so it's a constantly moving scene. There's some, if you guys have tried to get COVID tests outside of Tulane, that there are places that do these for free. There are places that do not do these for free, that may have a $200 copay. So it's important to call and figure out where you are going to be getting your PCR test. At this time, I don't have, for those of you departing New Orleans, I don't have confirmation that this will happen through Tulane. We're in this weird period where, in New Orleans, they're amping up vaccines. So how long the COVID testing will be and where is, we just have to keep monitoring and see what will happen. I am gonna, for those of you departing New Orleans, I'll be sure to let you know where I'll go to get my PCR test, and you all can go with me. But for those of you that are departing from other cities, it's important that you find out, where is the place where I can get a PCR COVID test prior to departure. So you're going to arrive at the airport with that, and you're not going to be able to check in as you normally would check in on an international flight. You have to show this at the gate, at the terminal first. At the front desk when you check in, and you'll be checked in there. And then in the airport, you're going to be tested 2 more times with the rapid test. You're going to be tested prior to departure, an antibody test at the airport prior to departure. And then when we arrive in Rome, you'll be tested in Rome again. So you'll be tested 3 times. And when we are on site, you guys will also have periodic COVID tests. And then you'll need this PCR test again prior to departure back to the US. And so we will help coordinate that for you so that you'll have that PCR test in Rome prior to departure to the US. So that's a kind of a new logistical thing that you'll have to kind of navigate. And so when we get closer to the departure, I'm going to send you my contact information, and we can be back and forth texting if you have any questions or issues about that. So I'm going to pause for a second. If you have any questions, feel free to type it in the chat or unmute yourself and ask if you have any questions about booking travel. Okay, great. Well, I'll continue. If something comes up, feel free to type it in the chat, or we can talk about it later. So the next thing is, what will it look like on site? What is this? What can you expect? So as you all have seen, the current sort of Easter restrictions in Italy have been extended until the end of April. It's expected that come May, if not sooner, that these will lift to some sort of quote unquote new normal. And again, it's a new normal in terms of what one can expect. And currently, so there's also a lot of uncertainty of exactly what things will look like on the ground. But at this moment, there is a limit on gathering size, up to 6 people. So no more than 6 people can be together in public at a time. However, there's kind of a loophole that, for example, we can do some cultural activities in small groups outside, because with a licensed tour guide, it is one of the things that is allowed in terms of 6-person gatherings to go out and about. So we will be able to do some excursions even under current conditions. And then there is also, there's limits to where you can go. So right now you are not allowed to leave the city of Rome. And museums are closed, but there are virtual tours. But we will be doing, the great thing about Rome is there's just so much that we can see outside. We will also be able to do at our study center, we'll bring in guests, we'll bring in cultural activities like cooking classes, or exchanges with important artists and things like that. So there's a way, so even though there's the current lockdown, we will find ways to get you out and about. As there is also, currently you're allowed to be out and about for exercise. So for example, you'll be able to explore parks, you'll be able to, take runs around, and you're able to go to stores to pick up needed things for cooking and that sort of thing. So that's sort of what it looks like. And there's a curfew currently. There's a curfew, which is 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. I haven't looked at it today to see if it shifted, but that is the current curfew in place. So that's kind of what you're looking at, worst case scenario. If conditions continue as they are right now. There's a group of students that are currently studying at the site where you guys will be. And I sent you the link to that Instagram page so you can start to see some of the activities that students are doing around. And but a lot of this we don't know. Things could shift, things could change. I'm hopeful that come May that we'll be looking at a different landscape where actually museums may be open. But at this point, where we don't know until the new decree is announced at the end of April. I see in the chat, restaurants are not currently open. So currently the meals would be cooked meals, or would be events that we would cater as a group. So bringing in a cooking class and doing things together. I'm going along with our 3 faculty members particularly because of this, to also help do some of the sort of cultural activities that we can do should we be operating during the time of quarantine. So it's going to be a different environment. You know, I've gotten some questions from students via email and things like that, asking, well, you know, can I travel on my free weekends and things like that? And so I really just want to emphasize that this is a different moment than what your friends may have experienced during study abroad. These travel restrictions are real, and currently, you know, you're not allowed to even leave certain regions. So it's a different. It'll look very different. We are really committed to making sure that we can provide you with a really culturally rich portfolio of opportunities in Rome. And Rome is an amazing city. There's no end to the possibility of talking about that. And the great thing is that the courses that you're taking, which we'll explore in more depth in your next PDO, pre-departure orientation, really highlight some of the sites in Rome and the ways in which culture interacts. You're going to be able to really see a different public health response to COVID. So, you know, in the US, we haven't really, when we say lockdown, you all may not quite understand what that means in terms of when you say lockdown in Italy. It's a different landscape for sure. But there is so much to be learned about that, and there is a lot of also hope that by the time we are arriving, we might see a different landscape. I've asked you all to get to get vaccinated. At this time, we're kind of premature in knowing what being vaccinated means in terms of both travel and ability to move about. So we're starting to see in the US, as more people are vaccinated, there's discussions about, you know, once we start to hit what is a sort of herd immunity, will there be ways in which vaccinated people have more access to certain things than non-vaccinated people? At this point, I think it's probably too early to tell in terms of travel if your vaccination will change the kind of the need for PCR testing. Right now, it specifically states that whether or not you're vaccinated, you still need to follow the same PCR testing regimen. So vaccination does not get you out of that. There is discussion in Italy, as in other countries, that perhaps when things begin to start opening, one would need to show proof of vaccination for entry. Again, this is all just hypothetical, but it could be that, you know, restaurants say, you know, to come inside, you need to present your vaccination card. Again, this is early in the discussion because Italy is farther behind in the vaccine rollout than the United States. So they're looking at kind of a fall deadline of reaching that 70% vaccination number. So I'm going to pause again. Do we have any questions? You can feel free to unmute yourself or to ask in the chat. All right, I'm not seeing, okay. Great question, Sharisa. Sharisa asks, so currently we're not able to go anywhere. So in terms of your travel, so currently people in Rome, and you will arrive in Rome, are required to stay in Rome. So all of the country currently is on red and orange zones. And so you're not allowed to travel between those zones. This might change, it might not. We don't really know. So right now we would be required to stay in Rome. There are, and then within Rome, there are the restaurants are not currently open. The museums are not currently open. Bars are not currently open. So the country is on lockdown. We will be able to do things. We will be able to do outdoor things, get outside and see the ancient fora, for example, go through the parks, engage with locals through the programming that we are going to do. But currently those are the realities of what it looks like to live in Rome right now. Italy is still closed to non-essential travel. So in order to travel, this means that we are facilitating your documentation to be able to arrive in Italy. So you're not allowed to travel right now as a tourist. So this means that should a student fall sick, currently it does not fall under the category to be able to travel. So we would need to get special permissions for travel if there was a case where your student, fell sick and couldn't travel. So so no, in general, parents would not be able to visit. In an extreme case, students are all enrolled in something called Global Rescue, which is a company that if there's a major emergency, we can medical evacuate the student out. So in those cases, if say something horrible happened, a student was hit by a bus or something like that, and we had to medically evacuate them, we could medically evacuate that student back to the United States.
I have a quick question just about the openness and the state of Rome right now. I appreciate you letting us know that we can, like, parks are open and we can go there. And it sounds like similar to how initial lockdown was here in the city, like groceries and essential places like that are open. Can we go for a walk and not have an intended place to go? Like, it sounds like you can go for a walk in a park, but can I go on a walk and take the long way around the Spanish Steps, take a really scenic hour-long stroll, but not in a park?
Yeah. So currently, the official word is that when you leave your house, you're supposed to be doing so for essential purposes. So so if you are, and there are fines for not doing so. So if you're stopped on the street but you're just walking, you say, oh, I'm walking, I went to the grocery store, that if that is in those aren't cases where people are normally fined. And our on the ground staff and our pre-departure right before going, we'll talk us all through that, and on arrival a bit more. But usually this is more for sort of like hanging out and more blatant kind of socializing in public areas where you're not supposed to be at the moment.
Got it. That is helpful. Thank you. And I wanted to add this not completely fully formed thought. And I'm Dr. Sims, by the way, for anyone. I'm the one who teaches ed psych and child psych on the trip. I don't know if we have any parents listening in on the line for right now, but it probably is really scary to hear like some of the pieces about emergency situations. And I know this probably doesn't help a lot, but the three professors are pretty open and acknowledging we're moms, and we can absolutely understand what it is like to send your folks overseas and to even have a glimmer of a thought of something like that happening. And so this incomplete thought is that we're moms and we have the mom mentality, and we'll do anything and everything for your kids if something really awful happened. And so I wanted to say that that's the psych in me, the psychologist in me, and the mother in me that really felt like I wanted to throw that out there for both the students' ears and any parents' ears that are out there as well. And finally, on a lighter note, I just have to say, Annie, I'm really happy that you gave us the recommendation to follow CIEE Rome on Instagram, because I did. And I'm so jealous because they saw Lady Gaga shooting House of Gucci the other day. And all I could think was, I know that they're not still going to be shooting while we're over there. I wish they were, because I love Gucci and Lady Gaga. And I was really excited to see that on their Instagram. That's all.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's so great. And I think, I know it's just so nerve wracking, all of this stuff. On the front end, we have done a lot of work to make sure that we are following safety protocols that will really help students. One, keep students safe, but then two, that we're able to offer a really exciting cultural moment for students on site. So thanks for highlighting those two things. Restaurant. So another questions are about restaurants and delivery. There are some restaurants open for delivery. I would say that it looks, as Alexander mentions, it's sort of similar to what we saw in the very beginning, where there are some restaurants open for delivery, but not all of them necessarily. And Italy is enforcing the lockdown of the curfew with a fine. So I don't know the exact amount of the fine, but there is a fine for those that are not following the guidelines. And Dr. Luongo, I don't know if you remember me, Longo, but you helped me. I just had a concussion, and you've been helping me through my concussion. Do you remember that? I'm getting so much better. Sorry, that was just a little aside.
This is my other role, and so I'm more comfortable in the doctor role.
Sure, sure.
You see it on my yeah.
Sure.
Because this is recorded.
Are there any other questions from students? And students, I know you might not have your question fully formed right now. You might just kind of feel like, I'm just not sure what's happening. I've never traveled before, and you're throwing a lot at me. So it doesn't have to be a fully formed question. If you want to just say, I'm nervous about this, or can you tell me about that? I'll do my best to answer. Okay, well, with that, I'm gonna stop the official recording, and